Hey everyone, my name's Maria, I'm 22 and these are things I wish I knew as a teenager. 1. Outgrowing friends. If you're a teen, you're likely in high school or secondary right now, and you may have your little friendships, the people you hang out with, go to lunch with, go to your classes with. But as you mature, as you get older, it's not always the case. You can keep in contact, but you can outgrow them as you go out into the real world, as they say. A lot of the friends that we made in high school can be friendships that were formed out of convenience, meaning you're all thrown into one institution together, like school. You're almost forced to be friends, if that makes sense. But now, as you grow, you start to get, your first jobs. You may be privileged enough to travel the world, all these things, and you meet different people. You may find more so different ones that you connect with. Schools tend to enforce uniformity. You all have to be one. And of course, because that brings order, so you all have to have this dress code. You all have to act in a certain way. Maybe you need to line up to enter class, call the teachers sir, ma'am. But when you get older and these restrictions can be taken off you, you then begin to discover yourself, and you may find that you and the friends you thought would last forever, things don't align anymore. Number 2, becoming an adult. Stop begging to grow up and enjoy your youth. Those can be the best years of your life. As adults, listen, it's ghetto here.
I'm in the ghetto.
We've got bills to pay, we've got real life stresses. If you're a teen, you've probably got your parents or a guardian and they do many things for you. You don't have to think of much, the light bill, doctor's appointments. When you grow up and you don't have mommy and daddy to book the doctor's appointments for you, and you're having to be the one to chase up all the things you weren't conscious of, just living freely in a house, everything paid. But when it's now you, things are different. Of course, it's a blessing to get older, but please enjoy still being young whilst you don't have too many responsibilities on you. And obviously people's lives are different. Certain people's circumstances may have required them to grow up much faster than they were meant to, such as is mine, but nonetheless, you will never be this young again. You're in your prime, your body's at its peak, work out, hang out with friends, eat, just enjoy it before all these responsibilities come on you like a whirlwind. Number 3, your parents were right. I know it's common at that teenage age to go through a rebellious phase. You may more so like your friends above all else. You think your parents are being annoying, they're being too strict. Trust me, you will grow and realize they were right all along. For instance, it was the phone. I'm not even going to elaborate on that further. Another example, friendships. Teens, listen and listen well. When your parent or whatever trusted adult you have in your life, when they tell you a friend is fake, they're no good for you, listen. Older you will thank you. Trust me. I know you love that person so much. You may think, oh, but you don't know them like me. You need to understand these are adults. They've played these games before. They've lived this life. They could see something in your company around you that you may not notice. And also prioritizing education. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I myself dropped out of college and I'm not endorsing that. But when you see your parents are pushing you, do your homework, do this, do that, please listen. Whatever route you may decide to go down, you may not go down an academic path, but your education, it can still open a lot of doors for you and have a lot of privileges. Key skills can be developed. You learn to be responsible. You learn to be able to meet deadlines. If you have the privilege of an education, don't take it for granted, okay? Number 4, high school is not the end all be all. I know at your age right now, it may seem like high school is the pinnacle of life. Some of you, maybe you feel like a loser or you don't fit in school. You may dread going to school, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, those few years you have in high school, people forget about it. It becomes nothing. It may seem long and dragged out now, like, oh, I can't wait to get out of school. But once you're out, trust me, it's gonna feel like it went by just like that. There is so much more to life. Next, people that peak in high school, after it, you never hear from them again. High school popularity is a scam. That's a lesson within itself. Linking to the previous point I just did, please don't go out of your way to try and become popular. It's one thing if you're favored for having a nice character, you're a kind person, but often, and we all know it, the cool kids or the popular girls, the popular boys, they're often known for the wrong reasons, meaning being notorious. Skip school. They were rude to teachers. they got into many fights. You don't want to peak in high school. You finish high school at what age? 17, 18. But you still have your whole life ahead of you. In fact, I know people that the moment they graduated, they moved towns, moved cities, removed everyone that they knew from social media, and they went on to start a new life, literally disassociate themselves from maturity. Even if you feel more mentally mature than your peers around you, you're not as mature as you may think you are. We have something called a frontal lobe, and that doesn't fully develop for people until they're 25. Okay, so I'm 22. My frontal lobe hasn't even developed yet. So imagine you who's a teenager watching. You may have certain beliefs and ideals as a 16-year-old, and then 20-year-old you will look back and be like, I can't believe 16-year-old me. The same way when I turned 25, I could look back at 22-year-old Maria, look back at me now, and feel like, wow, I did not know anything back then. You're still a child. Don't forget. Next, romantic relationships. Unless you're one of the few butterflies, I don't believe in luck, I believe in grace, it's unlikely that the romantic relationships that you spark up at that age are to last. You remember your frontal lobe hasn't even developed yet, you don't know what you're doing. Relationships at that age is puppy dog love. If anything, I would recommend not enter into relationships until you're at least 18. You may think, oh, but you're being boring. Don't awaken love before it's time. Things done prematurely are very damaging. We live in a very fast-paced society, and I know many people, myself included, who may have jumped into things in their teenage years, and then as an adult you look back and realize I was way too young to be doing all of that. Forget what the movies show you, forget High School Musical. If you've already done it, so be it, but you do not need to be kissing people. Of course there's cute things like prom, whatever, but don't take it too far. Teenage pregnancy, you may have to drop out of school. Becoming a father so young, putting your life on standstill. Adult decisions have adult consequences. If you would not be able to deal with the consequence of your decision, especially at your age, do not partake in it. You need to understand you may be youth and the world may be lenient on you, but consequences still come. Teenagers do get arrested. Think twice before you act. Before you want to be young, wild and free, consider how this will affect your future. You may do something and think, oh, but I'm still young. But now in the future, let's say you want a job, but they look back on your record and they saw in your youth, you were just dilly-dallying, you were defying authority, doing all those things. How do you think an employer is going to look at you? Don't damage your image. Old habits die hard. The next point is just an extension of what I said before. Do not give in to peer pressure. Do not. We know right from wrong at a very early age. Even children, babes, toddlers are way more smart than we give them credit for. Do not engage in their lifestyle choices. And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. I may sound like your mother, but it just has to be said. You may think I'm being strict and no fun. Of course, what I'm saying is within proportion, but especially that teenage age, you have no business smoking, drinking, trying to sneak into clubs, creating fake IDs, sleeping with each other. I know in our youth, we don't think twice about it. We think we just want to have fun, but that's how it starts. We may start off casually drinking with friends, thinking it's cute, sneaking alcohol behind your parents' back. But before you know it, you're an adult that's a full-on addict. Sneakily sleeping with someone, not letting anyone know. But surprise, surprise, what's the consequence of that? Pregnancy, and you can't hide that. Your parents will have to see it. Your parents have to find out you're a young father. Smoking, your lungs. You reduce your lifespan. Think twice, teens. Next, your insecurities are in your head. I know as a teen there can be pressure, you want to look a certain way, but trust me, what you see in yourself that you may think is a flaw, other people, they don't really see it. And you need to remember, if you may not like how you look as a teen, at that teenage age, what happens? Puberty, your hormones are doing the most. So it shouldn't be surprising if you have acne everywhere, you're breaking out. If you think you are quote unquote funny looking as a teen, give yourself time to grow into your body, grow into your looks. I know it's become normal to do procedures. I would say, of course, it depends on you. If you are under the age of 20, and even 20s is crazy, you have no business trying to look for any procedure. Stick to the stuff like braces and all that stuff if you need it. If you were bullied or have been bullied, you may not believe me and you may not understand how, but it's likely that your bullies were jealous. Once you've grown and you're able to identify patterns in human behavior and how people may act when they're jealous, you'd be surprised to find out that some people that were mistreating you, it's not because you were a loser, it was jealousy. I've said it plenty of times on my channel. Envy or jealousy, same thing, is very deceptive in nature. In that, unlike anger, sadness, joy, which can easily be identified, jealousy can be very slick. It's one of the little foxes, I like to say. And one thing about jealousy that I've learnt very often, in fact more often than not, it masquerades, meaning it hides behind anger. There could be people and they come across like they hate you so much, like bullies when they're treating you anyhow. But the deep core root of the anger is envy. You may not know your worth yet. I think, oh, but I'm a loser, oh, but I'm this, oh, but I'm that. But it is very common for other people to see the star in you before you see it in yourself. If anything, it may not even be them. I believe life is spiritual. It could be the enemy trying to attack you through them. But I need you to understand, things are not what they seem. I personally can remember encounters where I was treated horrifically by certain people. I didn't understand why. And it wasn't until I grew and I looked back on the situations as adult and certain things that came to light that I realized, oh, so they were jealous all along. I never knew. I'll even recount certain biblical stories that provide evidence for this. There was someone in the Bible called Joseph. Joseph was a very great man. He was very blessed and highly favored by God. And whilst he was still a teenager, 17, some of you could be that age, God revealed to Joseph in a dream that he was going to be a very mighty man, that God was going to very highly exalt him. So Joseph, excited by this, he went and told his brothers the dream. As soon as the brothers heard the dream, they hated him. Why? Because they were envious, they were jealous. Even before the dream, his brothers treated him horrifically. But then the Bible reveals that the true reason why they treated him the way they did is because they were jealous, in that the father loved him more than everyone else. Joseph aside, there were certain religious leaders called the Pharisees who were on Jesus's back. They hated him so much, or so it seemed. But God, who sees all things, who searches into the deep things of the heart, revealed that the truth was they were jealous of him, of the love that he had. They were jealous of his fruits, of his abilities. Your bullies are jealous. And one day, you'll understand. And lastly, but the most importantly, is God. It may not be equivalent to adult stresses, but as youth, you could be going through a lot and you feel abandoned, you feel alone. I just want you to know that God is there. Many of you won't discover who God is properly until you're older, but I want you to know you're not alone. You may be going through certain things right now, like in your family, and you may be thinking, where was God when this and that happened? But one day you'll grow and be able to look back and see many instances that you didn't realize before where God was there all along. He carried you through. And also, whoever needs to hear this, and I feel like I have to mention this is very deep, so this is a trigger warning, but I've seen a rise in cases in many youth, teenagers having mental health crises, some even going as far as taking their own lives. But I really do encourage you, I really do urge you as a stranger on the internet, I need to tell you, you are wanted. You are here with intention, regardless of the circumstances behind your birth. Even if you were given up for adoption, you may feel rejected. Even if maybe your parents, it's like they don't love you, you're the black sheep of the family. God loves you and you're here for a reason, and you will be missed. Some of you may be watching this and think, if I left today, no one would care. There is someone that cares. I care. I'm a stranger, but you are wanted. You have a purpose and there is a plan for your life. Right now, it may look like Why am I even here? Things are happening all for every day. I'm being treated like this in school. My teacher picks on me. But you are going to overcome. I went through a lot in my teen years. I know what it's like to have gone through friendship issues in my teen years. For a while, I didn't even want to go to school. I didn't even want to step in. It even resulted in me changing schools once. I thought it was over. I dreaded going to school. But look, I've overcome it. And all the people that made my life, forgive me, hell back then, that made me dread my teen years, where are they now? Do you see them? I don't. But a lesson that I will say in accordance with that is I need you to forgive. This is especially for teens who have gone through or are going through bullying. I know it's easier said than done. In fact, I'll link my video on forgiveness up here. Forgiveness does not mean you endorse their behavior, their actions. Of course, it was never right, but eventually you will have to forgive for your own sake. Holding unforgiveness is like stabbing yourself with a knife and hoping it reaches the other person. You do not need that anger, that bitterness, that hatred in your heart. Someone bullying you, like I said, they likely are jealous, and they're also likely battling their own things. It's unfortunate that they targeted you, but you need to understand hurt people hurt people. Someone who is content with themselves, content with their lives, would never bully someone. So if you are being bullied, there's something going on, but likely behind the scenes with that bully that made them be that way, whether it's their upbringing or they're being bullied at home, so they come home and they bully you at school. And this doesn't make it right, but it provides context. I would say give grace to those bullies. They are fighting and battling their own internal things and they're trying to take it out on you, but that does not define you. You are not a loser. You are not none of that. You are a blessing, you are great, you have a mighty star. Okay, I hope this video touches all who it needed to touch. Bye-bye. Maria out.